What I'm about to share with you might challenge everything you believe about personal hygiene, especially if you're over 65. I'm Dr. Whitmore, and after 3 decades practicing geriatric medicine, I've witnessed a disturbing pattern that most families never see coming. The very ritual we associate with health and cleanliness is silently endangering millions of seniors across the country. Last Tuesday, I received an emergency call that would forever change how I discuss bathing with my elderly patients. Margaret Foster, an 82-year-old retired librarian, had been discovered unconscious in her bathroom by her daughter. What should have been a routine evening bath had nearly cost Margaret her life. She spent 4 days in intensive care, fighting complications that could have been entirely prevented with simple knowledge. Margaret's story isn't unique. In fact, it's become tragically common. Every winter, emergency rooms see a 300% increase in bathing-related injuries among seniors. Yet most families remain completely unaware of the specific dangers that transform an ordinary bathroom into a potential death trap for older adults. Before we continue, I want you to understand something crucial. This isn't about scaring you or your loved ones away from basic hygiene. This is about understanding how aging fundamentally changes our body's response to something as simple as hot water and how small adjustments can literally save lives. The first dangerous misconception I encounter is the belief that seniors need the same bathing routine they've followed their entire lives. Your 75-year-old body is not your 45-year-old body, and pretending otherwise can have devastating consequences. Consider the case of Robert Chen, a vibrant 79-year-old who prided himself on his morning routine. Every day for 60 years, Robert soaked in water hot enough to turn his skin red, believing it was essential for his circulation. He would often joke with his family, saying the hotter the water, the cleaner he felt. One November morning, Robert's wife found him slumped over the edge of the tub, barely conscious. His blood pressure had plummeted to dangerously low levels, his heart was struggling to maintain a steady rhythm, and his body temperature had spiked to 102 degrees. What Robert didn't realize was that his aging cardiovascular system could no longer handle the stress of extreme heat exposure. Here's what happens in your body when you're over 65 and expose yourself to water temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Your blood vessels dilate rapidly, causing blood to pool in your extremities. Meanwhile, your heart, already working harder due to age-related changes, must pump faster to maintain circulation. Your blood pressure drops suddenly, especially when you stand up, creating the perfect storm for fainting, falls, and cardiac events. The medical term is orthostatic hypotension, but what it means in practical terms is that millions of seniors are unknowingly playing Russian roulette every time they step into a hot bath. Research from the American Geriatric Society shows that water temperatures above 100 degrees increase the risk of cardiovascular complications by 40% in adults over 70. But temperature isn't the only hidden danger. The second critical issue I've observed is what I call the cleanliness trap. Dorothy Patterson, an 86-year-old former nurse, came to my office with skin so cracked and irritated that she could barely sleep. She'd been battling chronic itching for months, applying every lotion and cream she could find, yet nothing provided relief. When I asked about her bathing routine, Dorothy proudly explained that she maintained the same meticulous hygiene standards she'd practiced throughout her nursing career. Daily baths with antibacterial soap, scrubbing every inch of her body until her skin turned pink. She believed this level of cleanliness was protecting her from infections and illness. The reality was exactly the opposite. Dorothy's daily scrubbing had completely destroyed her skin's natural protective barrier. At 86, her skin produced less than 30% of the natural oils it had when she was younger. Every day, she was essentially stripping away the only defense her skin had against bacteria, allergens, and environmental irritants. What Dorothy didn't understand, and what most seniors don't realize, is that our skin hosts trillions of beneficial bacteria that form our first line of defense against harmful pathogens. These microorganisms, collectively known as the skin microbiome, work around the clock to maintain pH balance, produce natural antibiotics, and prevent dangerous bacteria from taking hold. Daily bathing with harsh soaps decimates this protective ecosystem. While younger people can replenish these beneficial bacteria within hours, seniors over 70 may need days or even weeks to restore their skin's natural defenses. During this vulnerable period, they're actually more susceptible to skin infections, not less. The third danger that haunts my practice involves what happens after the bath ends. James Morrison, a retired mechanic who'd always taken pride in his independence, experienced this danger firsthand. James had a habit of taking long, hot baths late in the evening, then walking directly from his steamy bathroom into his air-conditioned bedroom, wearing only a towel. One winter night, James's daughter found him shivering uncontrollably on his bedroom floor, confused and disoriented. His body temperature had dropped to 95 degrees, a condition called mild hypothermia that can be fatal if left untreated. James couldn't understand how he could be cold after taking such a warm bath. The explanation lies in how our aging bodies regulate temperature. After a hot bath, your blood vessels remain dilated near the skin's surface. When you're suddenly exposed to cooler air, your body loses heat at an alarming rate, much faster than your aging metabolism can compensate. What should be a gradual cooling becomes a dangerous temperature plunge. This thermal shock doesn't just cause discomfort. It can trigger cardiac arrhythmias, respiratory distress, and cognitive confusion. In James's case, the rapid temperature change caused his blood pressure to spike, then crash, leading to the fall that left him helpless on his bedroom floor. Now, let me address the concern I hear most often. But doctor, if I don't bathe daily, won't I smell? Won't I be dirty? This worry stems from decades of marketing that has convinced us that daily bathing is necessary for social acceptance and health. The truth is far more nuanced. Recent studies from Harvard Medical School have shown that bathing every other day, or even 3 times per week, is not only sufficient for most seniors, but actually healthier for their skin and overall well-being. The key is understanding which parts of your body actually need daily attention, and which can be cleaned less frequently without any hygiene concerns. Areas that produce strong odors or accumulate bacteria, such as the underarms, groin, and feet, can be cleaned daily with a washcloth and mild soap. The rest of your body, particularly areas like your arms, legs, and back, don't require daily washing and actually benefit from the natural oils and protective bacteria that build up between baths. Let me share the story of Elizabeth Torres, a 77-year-old grandmother who was initially horrified when I suggested she reduce her bathing frequency. Elizabeth had been raised to believe that cleanliness was next to godliness, and the idea of bathing less frequently felt like abandoning her moral standards. However, Elizabeth had been struggling with recurring skin infections and painful cracking around her ankles and elbows. After reluctantly agreeing to try bathing every other day and using moisturizer religiously, she was amazed by the transformation. Within 2 weeks, her skin began healing. Within a month, the chronic itching that had plagued her for years completely disappeared. Elizabeth now tells her friends that reducing her bathing frequency was one of the best health decisions she ever made. Her skin is healthier, she uses less energy maintaining her hygiene routine, and she's eliminated the risk factors that were putting her in danger every single day. But changing a lifelong habit isn't just about understanding the medical reasoning. It's about practical strategies that make the transition safe and comfortable. When I work with seniors to modify their bathing routines, I focus on 5 essential elements that maintain hygiene while protecting their health. First, temperature control. Water should feel comfortably warm to the touch, not hot. I tell my patients to test the water with their elbow, not their hand, because your elbow is more sensitive to temperature extremes. If the water feels hot on your elbow, it's too hot for safe bathing. The ideal temperature is between 98 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit, warm enough to be comfortable, but not so hot that it stresses your cardiovascular system. Second, timing matters more than you might think. I recommend that seniors bathe during the warmest part of the day, typically mid-morning or early afternoon. This reduces the thermal shock your body experiences when transitioning from the warm bathroom to the cooler house. Avoid evening baths, especially during winter months, as your body's natural temperature regulation is less efficient later in the day. Third, duration is critical. Long leisurely soaks might feel luxurious, but they're dangerous for seniors. I advise limiting bath time to no more than 10 minutes and shower time to no more than 5 minutes. This minimizes the cardiovascular stress and prevents overhydration of the skin, which can actually make you more susceptible to cuts and infections. Fourth, the immediate post-bathing period requires careful attention. Keep your bathroom warm, dry off gently but thoroughly, and apply moisturizer while your skin is still slightly damp. This traps moisture and helps restore the protective barrier that bathing has temporarily compromised. Dress in warm, loose-fitting clothes immediately and avoid sudden temperature changes for at least 30 minutes. Fifth, frequency should be based on your individual needs, not social expectations. Most seniors do perfectly well bathing 3 times per week, with spot cleaning of odor-prone areas on the days between full baths. This schedule maintains hygiene while giving your skin time to recover and rebuild its natural protective mechanisms. I want to address one more critical aspect that many families overlook: bathroom safety modifications. Even with perfect bathing technique, the bathroom remains one of the most dangerous rooms in the house for seniors. Simple modifications can reduce injury risk by up to 90%. Install grab bars near the tub, shower, and toilet. These should be professionally mounted into wall studs, not just surface mounted with suction cups. Use non-slip mats both inside and outside the tub or shower. Consider a shower chair or tub bench, especially if you have any balance or mobility issues. Improve lighting throughout the bathroom, and consider motion-activated night lights for safe nighttime navigation. The story I shared about Margaret Foster, the librarian who ended up in intensive care, has a positive ending. After her frightening experience, Margaret worked with me to completely redesign her bathing routine. She now bathes 3 times per week in lukewarm water, uses minimal soap, and has installed safety equipment throughout her bathroom. More importantly, Margaret has become an advocate for senior bathing safety in her community. She speaks at senior centers, sharing her story and encouraging other older adults to reconsider their bathing habits. Margaret often tells me that nearly losing her life was worth it if it prevents other families from experiencing the same terror. The resistance to changing bathing habits often comes from deeply ingrained cultural beliefs about cleanliness and personal care. Many of today's seniors grew up during or shortly after times when access to clean water and soap was limited. This scarcity created a psychological association between frequent bathing and prosperity, health, and respectability. Understanding this historical context is crucial when discussing bathing modifications with elderly family members. Rather than challenging their values, acknowledge the importance of cleanliness while explaining how modern medical knowledge allows us to maintain hygiene more safely and effectively. I've found that involving seniors in the decision-making process, rather than simply telling them what to do, leads to much better compliance and satisfaction. Explain the medical reasoning, share relevant examples, and work together to develop a routine that feels comfortable and appropriate for their lifestyle. Remember, the goal isn't to make seniors feel dirty or unkempt. The goal is to help them maintain their health, independence, and dignity for as long as possible. Sometimes this means challenging long-held assumptions about what it means to be clean and healthy. The evidence is overwhelming and consistent across multiple medical specialties. Dermatologists, cardiologists, and geriatricians all agree that daily bathing poses unnecessary risks for most seniors, while providing minimal additional benefits over less frequent bathing. If you have elderly parents, grandparents, or friends, please share this information with them. Start the conversation gently, perhaps by mentioning a story you heard about bathing safety rather than directly criticizing their current routine. Offer to help them make bathroom modifications or accompany them to discuss bathing safety with their doctor. Winter months are particularly dangerous for seniors who maintain daily bathing routines. The combination of hot water, cold air, and dry indoor environments creates the perfect conditions for the accidents and complications I see in my practice every year. Don't wait for an emergency to have these conversations. Don't assume that because your elderly loved one has been bathing the same way for decades, they can continue doing so safely. Our bodies change, and our routines must change with them. The simple modifications I've outlined today, implemented consistently and with attention to individual needs, can add years to your life and life to your years. They can prevent falls, reduce infections, improve skin health, and eliminate unnecessary risks that millions of seniors face every single day. Your safety and health are worth more than maintaining outdated habits, no matter how deeply ingrained they may be. The choice is yours, but now you have the information you need to make that choice wisely.